Some more problems on module 5 tutorial class, some more problems on sampling. And in this module you have already seen some basic definitions of sampling and how the sampling can be applied on problems. Let us solve some more problems here. So let us consider first problem. Statement of the problem here is a coin is tossed 1000 times and head turns up 540 times. Decide on the hypothesis that the coin is unbiased. Let us suppose that the coin is unbiased. Okay, the question here is a coin is tossed 1000 times and a head turns up 540 times. Decide on the hypothesis that the coin is unbiased. So this is this problem statement. So in order to solve this, so let us suppose that the coin is unbiased. So let us take the hypothesis as the coin is unbiased. So that will let it be H naught. So if H naught is unbiased, then H1 should be the biased. Not unbiased means it is biased. So let us, and it is since it is a problem related to the tossing of a coin, we can consider that as a binomial trial, and binomial distribution concept can be applied here. So once we talk about a binomial distribution, the probability of success and the probability of failure come into the picture. So let P be the probability of getting ahead in one toss. So when a coin is being tossed, the probability of appearing head is 0.5 and probability of getting tail is also 0.5 because there are only two possible cases. So let us take P as a probability of getting ahead and which is equal to half. And once P is half, the value of Q can be evaluated as P plus Q is equal to 1. So with this, we'll get the value of Q is also equal to half. So here, N is number of trials. So how many times the coin has been tossed here? So it is 1000 times. So N is equal to 1000. So now, expected number of heads in 1000 tosses is N into P. So what is the expected number of heads out of 1000 tosses? 1000 times when the coin has been tossed is the mean value which is equal to N into P. So when in binomial distribution, mean of the binomial distribution is given by N into P, where N is a number of trials and P is probability of success. So when we talk about N to P, so substitute for N and substitute for P, we get the answer as 500. So here actual value of the number of heads coming up is 500 according to our calculation. But in the problem, the number of heads turns up is 540. So x is 540 here. So now let us evaluate the z variable z, the normal variate. Z is equal to x minus np by square root of npq. So substitute for x, which is 540, and n into p, which we have evaluated is 500, and n is again 1000, p is half and q is half. So on simplifying all these things, we get the value of z as 2.53, which is an evaluated value of z, which is 2.53, and according to the distribution table, hypothesis, the significance level 2.58. So hence we can say that 2.53 is less than 2.58. It means that it is less than the tabulated value of your hypothesis. The 0.05 significance level, it is in the significance level. So we can say that the coin is unbiased. Therefore, the concept of it was asked us to decide the hypothesis that the coin is unbiased, and we have proved it is unbiased. The hypothesis is true. So now let us take a second problem. Here. It states, the problem statement is, in 324 throws of a 6-faced die, an odd number turned up 181 times. Is it reasonable to think that the die is an unbiased one? So this is the question. So let us suppose the die is unbiased. That is the statement that we are fixing it up, and we have to check whether the statement is acceptable or not. So when do we say it is acceptable? If it falls less than the standard value, then we say the statement is accepted. If it the value whatever we calculate, if it goes behind the standard value, then we say the statement is rejected or not accepted. So we have to calculate these things in order to come to conclusion that whether the die is unbiased or biased. So let P be the probability of getting an odd number. So that is, how many odd numbers are there out of 6 faces? 1, 3, 5. There are 3 odd numbers and there are 3 even numbers. So here probability P, let us take it as number of odd numbers turning up. So which is 3 divided by 6, which is equal to 1 by 2. So since P is equal to 1 by 2, our Q will be equal to 1 minus P, which is equal to again half. So N here is number of trials. So die has been thrown 324 times. So N here is equal to 324. So expected number of odd numbers in 324 throws. That is the mean, which is N into P. Substitute for N and substitute for P. So which gives you the value as 162. So mu value, the number of expected number of odds which we are expecting according to the data given as 162. But actual number of odd numbers turned up in 324 throws are 181 as per the given data. Let this P is equal to small letter x. Let this be a random variable value. So now consider the normal variate Z, which has been given by x minus np divided by square root of npq. Substitute for x, np and q. So on substituting and simplifying, we get the value as 2.11, which is less than the standard value 2.58. Hence we conclude that the die is unbiased. So let us see another example. Result extracts reveal that in a certain school over a period of 5 years, 725 students had passed and 615 students has failed. Test the hypothesis that the success and the failure are in equal proportion. So this is the problem statement. So let P be the probability of success and Q be the probability of failure. So P be the probability of success. Suppose that the success and failure are in equal proportion. P should be equal to half and Q should be equal to half. So now total number of students are 725 plus 615, that is 1340, which is our number, small n value, and therefore expected number of successes n into p. So 1340 into 1 by 2, which is equal to 670. So observed number of success in the given condition or in the given problem statement is 725. Let that be is equal to the value of x. Now consider evaluate z now, which has been given by z is equal to x minus mu divided by sigma, where mu here is np and sigma is n square root of npq. Substituting for x, n, p and q, we get the value of z as 3.005, which is more than the standard value 2.58. So therefore, we cannot accept the hypothesis that success and failure are equal. It has been given in the problem statement that they are in the equal proportion, and we have checked for this whether they are equal or not. So now according to the statement and evaluation value of z and the standard value of z, looking at all these things, we can come to a conclusion that the success and the failure are not in the equal proportion. Therefore, the hypothesis that success and failure are equal has been rejected. So let us see another example. In a sample of 500 men, it was found that 60% of them had overweight. What can we interpret about the proportion of people having overweight in the population? So probability of person having the overweight, let us take it as the probability of success, which is P, and here how many people? 60% of them. So 60% means 60 by 100, just 0.6. And once we know the value of P, we can evaluate the value of Q by using the formula Q is equal to 1 minus P, or P plus Q is equal to 1. So by that we get the value of Q as 0.4. and n is the size of the population here is 500. So n is 500, and probable limits is p plus or minus 2.58 into square root of pq divided by n. This formula we have discussed while discussing the sampling distributions. So here we are using that formula. So p is 0.6 plus or minus 2.58 into square root of p value, q value and n value have been substituted. On simplifying, we get the value of the probable limits are 0.6 plus or minus 0.0565. So in between we had got plus or minus. So once we are going to take the value of plus, and the other time we are going to take the value of minus. So once we take plus, it is supposed to be 0.6565, and when we take the value of minus in between, we get this value. So probable limits of people having overweight is 54%, 54.35% to 65.65%. So this is the probable proportion of people having overweight in the population. Let us see one more example. To know the mean weight of all 10-year-old boys in Delhi, a sample of 225 was taken. The mean weight of the sample was found to be 67 pounds with standard deviation of 12 pounds. What can we infer about the mean weight of the population? So this is the problem statement. So sample mean here is x bar, which has been 67, and sample size small n is 225. So out of a population, a sample has been selected, and that sample is having 225 students, and out of which 67 pounds, x bar is 67, and standard deviation is also given for us, which is 12. Sigma value is 12 here. So 95% confidence limits for the mean of the population is given by x bar plus or minus 1.96 into sigma by root n. That these expression we have already discussed in sampling distribution 2 session. So you can refer it again. So 95% confidence limits are x bar plus or minus 1.96 into sigma by square root of n. Similarly, 99% confidence limits for the mean of the population is x bar plus or minus 2.58 into sigma by square root of n. So we have sigma by square root of n, which is equal to 12 by square root of 225, which gives the value as 0.8. So 95% confidence limits is 67 plus or minus 1.96 into 0.8. Sigma by square root of n value is 0.8, and x bar value is 67. We are substituted. On simplifying this, we get 65.432 when we take a negative value, in between. So here if you take negative plus or minus, once we take positive and once we take negative. When we take negative, it is 65.432, and when we take positive, it is 68.568. That is in 95% of confidence limits. Similarly, in 99% of confidence limit, 67 plus or minus 2.58 into 0.8. So take once positive sign and once the negative sign. So when you take the negative sign, 67 minus product of this gives you 64.936, and 67 plus 2.58 into 0.8 gives you 69.064. So we can say with 95% confidence that the mean weight of the population lies between 65.432 pounds and 68.568 pounds. This is with respect to 95%. Similarly, with respect to 99% of confidence, the mean weight lies between 64.9 to 69.1 pounds. So these are all some of the problems that we have discussed on probability sampling and sampling distributions. So in the next session, let us see some more distributions like t distributions and chi-square distribution. Thank you.